Let's talk about the world's number one team for a second, because I've suddenly been aware I've not really paid Ireland much attention. They're one of the most fancy teams going to the World Cup. And because basically things are so zen and calm in the Ireland camp, they're in such a good place and you can pretty much pick the entire squad like that. Maybe they haven't got the attention that they deserve. So here we go. I'm going to throw the spotlight on Ireland and I'm going to look at their squad and what it may well be for the World Cup. They've got this warm-up fixture against Italy this coming weekend. How much will that be Andy Farrell making the last couple of decisions on his squad? I suspect he pretty much knows his entire squad. And let me just demonstrate that fact. Let's pick an Ireland squad. And again, tell me what you think about this in the comments. Start with a blank sheet and 33 spots. I'll go through position by position. We'll see where the decisions to be made are, and then we'll make them. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. If I haven't already, I'm really hoping I'll earn your subscription on this video and the many more that are coming in the build-up to and during the Rugby World Cup. Exciting times. It's getting very, very real. Certainly is for the 33 men who will be involved. And let's start at prop, where you've got, well, there's no one really that might come in. It's 3 loosehead props, and I think it's as simple as that. 3 are going: Andrew Porter, Cian Healy, Dave Kilcoyne. There we go. Next. Here, 3 hookers from 4, I expect will go. Dan Sheehan and Ronan Kelleher are the 2 obvious choices. And then it's a choice between Tom Stewart and Rob Herring. Tight head prop, Finlay Bealham and Tyg Furlong. And then Tom O'Toole. I've put him in the possible column, and we'll get into this, because Andrew Porter and Cian Healy can both operate on the tight head side of the scrum. I mean, Cian Healy, we know he can operate as a hooker now as well, don't we? But there we go. Second row, and I think there's 4 definitely going. 2 other contenders, Kieran Treadwell and Joe McCarthy, trying to earn a spot. But both of those won't go, possibly one. But then Ireland are so flexible in their forwards that players in the back row can slot in the second row and vice versa. So again, I see it as 4 definite on the plane, 2 contenders fighting for a spot in Cian Prendergast and Gavin Coombs. Into the backs, and I think this one's sewn up. Blade is just there as backup should there be an injury to one of the 3 that are going to be going. Craig Casey will be joining Conor Murray and Jamison Gibson Park as the scrum halves. I think that's done and dusted. Fly half, there's an interesting selection to make. Obviously, relief that Johnny Sexton is available. Who will be going with him and Ross Byrne? Will it be Kieran Frawley or will it be Jack Crowley? We can get into that conversation in a minute. In the centres, again, very settled. Ireland know and trust their 4 men that will be wearing those centre jerseys. Can Jamie Osborne become one of the names in the 33-man squad? Someone who can play at fullback, very flexible player, possibly. We'll get into that. And in the back 3, again, I think there's 4 nailed on and very familiar names, and 3 that could well be part of the equation there in Jacob Stockdale, Keith Earls, and Nash as well. So let's work back from there. If you look at this is 28 men, I've got it, that are on the plane, which means there's only 5 spots left. And when you look at the 28 names, they're all players that Andy Farrell has called on, have been used in big matches, and are known quantities and trusted by Andy Farrell and experienced against the world's best teams. What a great place that Ireland are in. 5 spots to pick then. So let's work back from the back 3. How do you see it? Again, leave your comments. Tell me where you think I've got this wrong. But I see those options, and I think an incredible stalwart that he has been. I think this is the end of the road for Keith Earls, and I think Jacob Stockdale may get that final spot with the back 3 options, moving us towards centre. Now, the issue that Jamie Osborne has is that Kieran Frawley and Jack Crowley, backup fly half, can both play at 12. And for that reason, I think Osborne misses out. Moving to that decision at fly half then, this is a really interesting call. Both excellent players, both versatile, as I've just mentioned. I think Jack Crowley just has more big game experience, showed up really well for Munster, winning the URC, and I expect him to get that 3rd spot as a fly half and occasional centre. And again, as I mentioned, as we went down the squad in the first place, Blade misses out because those 3 scrum halves are tried, tested, and really, really good. This is where the big decisions come. because that's 15 backs I've got, meaning there's 18 spots in the forwards. And that means there's 3 spots available for these players. How would you distribute those 3 spots left in the Ireland squad? It's going to be cruel on some guys. I see it like this. I think we can eliminate 2 out of the second row and back row. I think Kieran Treadwell and Cian Prendergast are ahead of Joe McCarthy and Gavin Coombs. So that makes it slightly easier. You've got 3 spots and you've got 5 names. And I'm going to say, and I may be wrong on this, and again, tell me what you think, but I'm going to say that Treadwell gets the spot at lock. And my reason for that is that Ryan Baird, one of the locks, can play on the flank in the back row. Tyg Byrne can play in the back row, one of the second rows. And even Ian Henderson has been used as an occasional flanker when needed. So I just think a dedicated second row is where that position will go. That doesn't mean Cian Prendergast won't get selected as well. We can come on to that. But let's talk about the hookers for a second, because you've got Ronan Kelleher and Dan Sheehan as 1 and 2, or 2 and 1. Dan Sheehan 1, Ronan Kelleher 2, who you do have the luxury as a result to pick Tom Stewart, who's a really exciting young hooker, really explosive and a bit of a wild card bolter, relatively speaking, for Ireland. Or do you go with the tried and tested someone you know in Rob Herring? I'd be tempted to go for Tom Stewart, but I think experience will come to the fore, and it's invaluable in a World Cup. So I expect Rob Herring to get that spot. And then here's your final call then. One more name. And ordinarily, for most squads, this is obvious. It's like, well, you've got to have 3 tight heads, haven't you? But do Ireland need to have 3 tight heads? Because Andrew Porter can play both sides of the scrum, one of the most valuable players in World Rugby as a result when it comes to picking a squad for a World Cup. And had it still been a 31-man squad, as it was 4 years ago, I think Tom O'Toole misses out for that very reason. And as I've mentioned, Cian Healy can slot in there. And also Ireland's fixtures. Let's not forget how that works out. They ramp up slowly. They play Romania, then they play Tonga, then they play South Africa and Scotland before they're then in a quarter-final against most likely France or New Zealand. So Ireland start slowly and gradually build up until, assuming they make it, the real big one in a quarter-final. So with that in mind, I mean, that could be a reason why you take Cian Prendergast, because you can preserve the game time of Tyg Furlong and of Finlay Bealham in the earlier games. But I just think Tom O'Toole gets the nod. And as a result, there is my 33-man squad for Ireland. Do you disagree with any of those selections? If so, let me know in the comments. Ireland are in a very good place. I think that's the bottom line. They're settled, they're tried, they're tested. The combinations they know well. And whoever pulls on that green jersey, that very bright green jersey, Andy Farrell's going to know they already have done and can do and will do a good job. That's my 33-man Ireland squad. What do you think?